So, the Lego scandal, the Bricks and Minifigs situation finally comes to an end. Yeah, we'll see. I don't think they're going to be able to get out of this. I don't think they're coming back from this.
What a wild ride it's been, huh? Incredible journey. Not too dissimilar from Brendan Fraser taking that trip to the center of the earth. Just look at us, you and me. Look at how much we've grown. Not physically, I've already maxed prestige on height, but emotionally, we've come so far. Bonded like brothers, only closer. Through our Bricks and Minifigs LEGO scandal. And now,
it sure has
the
been
train
an
is reaching
adventure.
its station. Much to the chagrin of Ammon McNeff, who's the primary clown at the center of the Bricks and Minifigs circus. No doubt he's soiling his diaper in a tearful tantrum over this having to be the path that they walk. There's two things Ammon hates, and it's shaving his mustache and reaching a resolution with the people that him and his company have wronged. And unfortunately, he's had to do one of the two. So they have publicly announced the resolution with the Mansell family, which is the family that started all of this, where they brought in a very valuable Lego collection and everything went tits up. And this has led to a huge avalanche that is just torpedoed Bricks and Minifigs, and all of it very...
Yeah, I don't think it's over yet. I think there's still people that are trying to investigate them because they still are doing shady shit. It's not like all the shady shit that they did has gone away.
Avoidable. This was all easily preventable from their side if they had just been more willing to work with the family.
They were just running a shitty fucking scheme over there, man. That's all it was. And they got caught by the internet.
And then, even by extension, working with the people that were investigating it, like Reckless Ben and everything, but they refused, they dug their heels in, they kept looking like fucking idiots every step of the way, caught in numerous lies. Ammon McNeff went on more podcasts than fucking Gary Vee.
I'm pretty sure what they were doing is they were capturing businesses. Like, they would have people open up franchises, and then they'd be like, oh, well, you suck, so we're gonna take over now. And basically, they get a free business that they get to run.
Like, he was going everywhere and just constantly embarrassing himself. So, Bricks and Minifigs' reputation circled the shitter. They've really torpedoed the brand, and it's just been a catastrophe for them. So, with their back up against the wall, dick in hand, they finally decided to do what they should have done from the very beginning, and actually reaching a resolution with the Mansell family for what happened through Bricks and Minifigs here. And I am confident this is the last thing Ammon McNeff wanted. Like, actually the very last thing. He tried everything else. I wouldn't be surprised if he started getting into voodoo magic, performing rituals on minifigs of Reckless Ben and Brian Mansell directly, like poking needles in. But none of it worked. So now they finally compensated.
None of it worked.
Self-a-bish!
Oh, yeah, self-a-bish.
The Mansell family for all this hoopla, and they publicly released a statement going over it, talking about their amicable resolution of a private dispute relating to the Mansell family's Lego Star Wars collection. It then goes on to point the finger at the previous owners of that Oregon store as like the main culprit for everything that went wrong. They kind of just run the bus over them there. This settlement agreement is a compromise of disputed claims. It's not an admission of liability, wrongdoing, or unlawful conduct by BAM, the Mansells, or any other released party. Mansell's confirmed they've been compensated by BAM for the losses associated with the consignment arrangement, and thus are releasing all their legal claims against BAM, its leadership, Baker Salem, Josh Johnson, Brandon Best, or any current Bricks and Minifigs franchisee. BAM, the McNeffs, Baker Salem, Josh Johnson, and Brandon Best likewise will dismiss their lawsuits against Brian Mansell. Which, that's great news, because they did have Brian Mansell named in a very chunky, really spicy piece of legislation that would have just only further fuckified them, even though they are victims of this whole case here. So it's good that those have now been dismissed. Through the exchange of records and information during the legal and mediation process, parties developed a more complete understanding of what occurred. The underlying dispute arose from a consignment contract between the Mansell family and the Salem Kaiser Oregon store. BAM, Baker Salem, Josh Johnson, and Brandon Best were not parties to it. The Mansell's losses arose in part from the scale, accounting, storage, and disposition of inventory by the former operator of the store. So they're really wiggling the finger at the Gormans. It's all their fault. It all stems from them.
Yeah, and you know what I gotta say to that?
You're gay!
You're gay!
You're gay!
They caused all of this. Boo! Boo! And from CoffeeZilla's reporting, it does seem very clear that how they handled the inventory here on this collection was suboptimal. and very weird and questionable, and it did create the problems in a large capacity. But that's not
The only thing that they're focused on was making money. That's the only thing that they were focused on. All of the little cracks in between they weren't focusing on, and they knew there were problems, and once people went to go digging, they played stupid.
the only piece that
Which is a good plan, I guess, when you don't know what the fuck is going on. Just be stupid, because they are stupid.
led to this being such a disaster. It's how Bricks and Minifigs handled it after that mistake. And to be fair, the Gormans on camera were even mentioning when they were being taken over, hey, we have this inventory, we got to make sure that he's compensated and all of that. And that just kind of fell on deaf ears. And then there was a lot, like, yes,
They were trying to bureaucratically steal this guy's shit.
they do bear a lot of
And they bureaucratically steal people's businesses.
responsibility for how things unfold. Like, that is true. They did not handle the inventory properly, and it led to a lot of confusion and a lot of things falling through the cracks. But it's not like they're the only party at blame here for what happened to this Lego Star Wars collection. Bricks and Minifigs was completely just off their fucking gourd throughout this entire case. Like, even outside of, like, the reckless bin coverage, from everything else that had been brought up, like, from Mansell to the corporation and everything.
Yeah, they're just like all of the other shows that dude went on. What was his name? Eamon. The shows that he was going on, doing interviews with news shows and shit, going on podcasts. Like, what the fuck was all of that?
It was just ridiculous off rip and very combative and aggressive from that corporation. And then they got caught in so many lies. Like, there are so many things they lied about that there's even footage contradicting, proving them incorrect, and then they just change their story. They're like, oh yeah, so yep, you're right. So that's not real. So here's the new story. And it's like, it's crazy. So yes, it is irrefutable that previous leadership of that store is what started this, and it wasn't handled the right way. But Bricks and Minifigs also bears a huge responsibility for how messy all of it got. I think it's a little...
I think the whole thing just needs to crumble. Just to shut the whole thing down.
absurd that they're going to solely put the blame on previous leadership at the store when a lot more went wrong than just that. This was something that could have been solved privately, quietly, peacefully. It never needed to blow up into some shit like this. That is entirely on Bricks and Minifigs, the corporation, like the headquarters.
Yeah, like I was saying the whole time, they could have done an event and raised the money to give to the dude and like really played up the fact that they were, you know, poor and sick.
The think tank there, that
and
is on their
old.
shoulder. All of that financial blood is on their hands.
And like a lifetime collector of Lego. Like, come on. The writing was right there on the paper. You just didn't read it. Just like they didn't read the contract.
Like, their reputation ate shit because of their behavior. As part of the settlement, Brian Mansell has assigned to BAM his claims under the original consignment contract. BAM may elect to pursue these claims against those responsible. The Mansells have agreed to provide relevant records in support of BAM's claims. The parties believe this places responsibility for remedying any remaining fault with the appropriate parties. BAM recognizes that the Mansell family experienced a genuine loss, prolonged uncertainty, and considerable frustration after the original contract was not properly administered by the former operator of the store and during the transition from the former operator to the replacement franchisees. I like how they're like, oh, this must have been so frustrating for them. It was so drawn out and uncertain. That's on you guys. It's not like that was a Mansell family that was deciding to, like, fucking, leave this out to dry.
You're gay!
That was entirely on you. And it's like, man, that must have been frustrating for them, huh? And then, of course, they're like, yep, it wasn't properly administered from previous owners to the replacements, even though, again, it is on camera, her alerting them to this consignment, like, and what is there, and it's never got taken care of or addressed or anything. BAM regrets that it did not more quickly access information necessary to understand and resolve the matter. BAM has issued an unqualified apology to the Mansell family for the losses and pain suffered from the events surrounding the dispute.
That's a really convoluted and lawyer-speak way of saying, we're retarded and we fucked up.
The parties recognize that many Bricks and Minifigs franchises and employees had no involvement in surrounding this dispute and hope that this resolution brings closure to everyone affected and all may return to their normal business activities and personal lives.
Nope. Guess what?
Awful bitch!
This is going to go on forever, probably, until they crumble. And then we'll all celebrate.
Yeah, Bricks and Minifigs is desperately hoping that this is something that can just blow over and they all just move on from and people continue to do business with Bricks and Minifigs. I still wouldn't. Like, yeah, they eventually did this. So many months later. It took so long, like pulling teeth. Such a painful, drawn out, and terrifying experience for the Mansell family. Keep in mind, Bricks and Minifigs had them on the fucking meat hooks. They had them dangling by the beef curtains there. They had them named in a lawsuit, all just because they were victims of Bricks and Minifigs fucking them. So, like, that's entirely on Bricks and Minifigs, and that showcases that the company is not very trustworthy. So if you are someone that wants to do business with Bricks and Minifigs and you have a problem, you best start praying for a miracle, because now you've got a huge issue. Bricks and Minifigs won't help you. You're shit out of luck. And not only will they not help you, they'll even be like a fucking obstacle. They'll be your worst enemy, even if you are the victim of something that has gone wrong in their pipeline. That is not a brand that I would ever feel comfortable doing business. So, like, yes, they have finally done the right thing here with compensating the Mansell family, but they've only done it after a nationwide mainstream coverage for over 2 months now, of everyone shining the spotlight on this, everyone talking about it, and now at the very end, they've decided to do what they should have done from the very beginning if this was a company of integrity. So, like, it doesn't instill confidence in this brand.
Yeah, they kind of just did it because they had no other option. And if there were other options, and the option was to fuck over everybody and make the most money possible and get away with it, that's the option that they're going to pick. But that wasn't one of the options.
At least not in my eyes. And I hope people won't just be blinded by that, like, oh, look, see, they finally did it, so now everything's good. It's still inexcusable the way they've behaved publicly and what they've tried to do to, like, the Mansell family, like, in that lawsuit. Like, it's ridiculous. The family was the one that was wronged, and yet they were still further victimized directly by Bricks and Minifigs attacking them personally and publicly. Keep in mind, they would come out publicly and besmirch them. The company would. It's ridiculous. So I don't think it actually salvages Bricks and Minifigs' reputation, but it is
definitely
nice that
not.
at least
They're so done.
the Mansell family is finally getting.
They'll probably get some passersby to be like, oh, what's this place? But, like, when it comes to nationwide appeal, it ain't happening. I don't think that Lego's going to partner with them. I don't think any big box store is going to partner with them because they're just going to get annihilated by the droves of people that are just going to be like, hey, isn't this that one company that ripped off that old guy for $200,000? Isn't this the Reckless Ben company?
Compensation for what happened. It shouldn't have been this difficult. It really shouldn't have. Now, while this chapter in the book has been closed, there are still others that are open, like the Gorman's lawsuit against some Minifigs. That one is still ongoing and seemingly unaffected by this settlement here.
What about the corruption of the police department and the Mormon mafia?
So I guess we'll see what else continues to happen. Of course, there's still a lot more going on with Bricks and Minifigs, but this is at least a nice tidbit of resolution where the Mansell family is receiving compensation now. I'm very curious what's going to happen next in the Bricks and Minifigs saga here, because like I said, we are in the end game. Like, things are really accelerating now.
Is there going to be a sequel?
So I guess we'll see. But anyway, just wanted to give you the little update here. That's really about it. So, yeah.